Hi, today we will discuss the file access and file organization. When we speak about accessing files, there are two main ways we can go about it: sequential and direct access. In sequential access, you read the data from start to end. It is impossible to jump into the middle to access data. A good example of a sequential access medium is the use of magnetic tape. Tapes were widely used around the world for music, for video, and computer data. Not too long ago, during my younger days, we were listening to music from a tape on my Walkman. Before Netflix and YouTube, as well as Blu-rays and DVDs, there was a time when you used to watch videos on a VHS tape. Those days, I couldn't repeat a song I liked because the tape is using sequential access. I would have to rewind the tape to play something back, but of course it wouldn't be accurate as direct access. Direct access is where we can have access to a specific data without having to go through any other data. Think about it as a multi-story building. Let's say one has an elevator and another one only has steps. One of the steps is like using sequential access. For me to reach the fifth floor, I would have to pass through the first, the second, the third, and the fourth floor to reach my destination. While on the other building with an elevator, I can just use the elevator to reach any floor I want without stopping at every floor below or above it. In other words, I have direct access to any floor I want to reach. Now we are going to speak about file organization. When we are organizing files, there are three main methods that I want to discuss: sequential, index sequential, and random. Let's look at the first method of organizing files: sequential files. In this method, all records are stored in an order, which means it is sorted in some way. One of the fields will be used for ordering or sorting. This field they use for sorting is called sort key. Sequential files are searched using sequential access, which means that if you want to find a record in a sequential file, you have to start at the beginning and work your way through until you find what you are looking for. An example of sequential method can be at a supermarket. When the cashier scans the item, the receipt is printed in the order the item was scanned. And if you want to track prices of one of the items you bought, you will have to start from the beginning, the first item, and go down until you find the item you're looking for. Index sequential file uses index to speed up searches on a sequential file. It's easy to find records on a small sequential file, like maybe if you bought 5 items and you are checking it on the receipt. However, imagine you are searching through a file with thousands of records. This can be tedious and time consuming. Therefore, an index sequential file sets up an additional file to act as an index, the same way you can find it in a book. Index sequential file organization cannot be used with sequential access media such as tape. And the last file organization is random. Similar to index sequential file, random files can only be used on direct access media. Random file is the most efficient way of storing extremely large files. Random files use a different method of providing access to records, which will have its own specific address on the storage. But the records will not be sorted in any way. In fact, it will seem as though they are scattered everywhere. But what's really happening is that the address of each record is calculated by a special formula, And when a new record is added to the file, the formula works out the address where it should be. When the record needs to be retrieved, the same formula is used again to identify where the record is stored. This significantly reduces time as the system can access the records directly. It's important to note that sequential files can be used with sequential access and direct access, while index sequential and random files can only be used with direct access media, which makes sense. So let's recap. We spoke about two things today: file access and file organization. In file access, there are two methods: sequential and direct access. The difference is that in sequential access, you can only access the records from the beginning to the end, while in direct access, you can access any records you want directly, whether it is in the beginning, it's at the end, it's in the middle, beginning, middle, wherever you have it. In file organization, we have three methods: sequential, index sequential, and random. Sequential file organization sorts data using a sort key. Index sequential file organization improves the sequential file organization by creating an additional index file. And random organization utilizes a formula to store and retrieve data directly from the media. With this, we come to the end of yet another video. Hope you learned something new.